This is Tom Dillon, the Lifetime Liberal, and today is Wednesday, March 30th, 2016, and the title of this rant will be Trump's Biggest Forte, Blame the Victim. So again, what I really love about Trump is that he is never in doubt. As they also used to say, often wrong but never in doubt. Trump is more like always wrong but never in doubt. So in reference to Corey Lewandowski, who was charged yesterday, in reference to pulling Michelle Fields, grabbing her, which is a misdemeanor in Florida, and he got charged. What we see is the Trump campaign doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on Corey, and this is what they do. They blame the victim. They blame Michelle Fields. She didn't get pulled. She wasn't a man. She didn't fall down. Why didn't she press charges right away? How come the Secret Service didn't get involved? Corey would never do anything like that. She's trying to ruin his family. She's a gold digger. She wants to sue me. You know, all of this stuff. But when it comes down to the actual thing that happened, it is clearly evident that Corey grabbed her and pulled her away from Trump, which was against her will, and she pressed charges, and the police found the tape. Remember, Trump says, oh, we gave them the tape. Yes, well, they gave them the tape because if they had not given them the tape, they would have been subpoenaed. Or they would have had a warrant, for it, or something like that, a subpoena. But the thing about all of this is this is who Trump really is that him and his posse, Corey and all the others, they're all big type A personalities, take no prisoners. We are right. You are wrong. Even when we're wrong, we're right. You know, they espouse to what we would call the big lie theory. Everyone is against them. It's us against the world. Same as the Republicans have quite a bit. Just to make a quick note here, one of Donald Trump's early mentors was a guy by the name of Roy Cohn, a really in-your-face attorney who represented Joseph McCarthy back in the 50s and came on to be a good friend, mentor, etc. of Donald Trump. And you know, you live, when Trump has his posse and him and his mentor, Cohen, in reference to all of this, you live in this own echo chamber where they don't believe anything they don't believe anything that they don't want to believe. And when they're being hypocritical, they're not being hypocritical. They're just being right all the time. I remember an attorney of mine, a friend of mine who was an attorney, said, you know, when he was getting into recovery, that the hardest thing he had to learn was acceptance. Because as an attorney, the premise of a whole attorney, to being an attorney, is that you never accept anything. So the attorney that was representing Corey was on Chris Hayes last night. He wouldn't accept anything. You know, and that's just the way it is. We'll see what happens in a court of law. But again, you know, all of this stuff is based on Trump is always right. He never accepts any type being at fault in any way, shape, or form. He has all kinds of yes men around him. He doesn't seem to have too many women around him except his daughters. In terms of reinforcing his position, they're all sycophants. And I just don't, see how this is actually going to help him as we head towards the general election. Now, right now, Trump's negatives, nationwide are well above 60%. That doesn't bode well for him in the elections. And we can see very clearly right now that he's not going to get any of the black vote. He's not going to get any of the Hispanic vote. He's not going to get any of the Asian vote. Or should I say that he will get a nominal amount of that. Now, in terms of the Hispanic vote, I believe that you need to get well over 46% of the Hispanic vote or something to win. And of course, I think Romney only got 20-some percent. and it's all playing well for Trump's following right now. And they always like to refer to it as the non-college whites that are the biggest followers of Trump. Those that have been left behind, those that are in economically depressed areas, or as was pointed out, that they're non-educated whites. They still harbor a fair amount of racial animus. They haven't done well economically, and they're mostly renters. Now, I would add to that is that it may be also that Trump is not even going to get all of that non-educated white vote when we come to the general election. Now, of course, Trump hasn't even passed 50% of the Republicans. In terms of those that are for him. And there are going to be more independents and Democrats than there are Republicans in the election, so you can see where that's going. As we've seen of the people who have voted in the primaries, both Democrat, Republican, and those independents who could vote, Trump is getting, in many instances, less than 20% of the overall vote. So we'll see how that will play out in the general election. But in terms of the white people, we know that the non-educated whites fall into a couple categories. Number one, the very conservative Tea Party whites who will follow any conservative who's ever on the ticket. We know they are going to follow Trump. Now, the next ones are the independents. Are they going to also follow Trump? They may be a little bit of a swing half and half because independents are usually left-leaning or right-leaning, but not quite sure how that files down in terms of non-educated whites who are independent. Probably not a whole lot of them. And then, of course, the other group of lower education whites would be those who fit into what we would call the Reagan Democrats, those who, the lunch bucket Reagan Democrats from the early 1980s. But those jobs that they were talking about in the 1980s, barely any of them are there anymore. But they are the older, white, non-educated people who do believe in the government, do believe in Social Security, do believe in Medicare, and will they follow someone like Trump when it comes around for the election time? Don't really know if that's going to happen. Now, forget about the convention. Let's just say that Trump is the candidate for the Republicans for next November. Let's remember also that there are a lot of PACs, political action committees, groups in Washington and all over the country who have been spending a lot of time looking into everything that Trump has said and done, and are not giving the Republicans any of that information. And maybe the Republicans will be able to bring all that stuff up before the convention, and maybe they won't. But we know that the Democrats have been doing tremendous amount of opposition research on Trump for over a year. They have a lot of ammunition. They have a lot of if, when, then. If and when Donald says this, then we will show this. If and when Donald does this, then we will show this. And then under the this, meaning the critical advertising or rebuttals of this, if this part one doesn't play well, this is the top one we think. We've done our research on this. We've had our focus groups on this. If this one doesn't work, here's the second one we're going to bring out. Here's the third one we're going to bring out. So they're going to have a lot of stuff going after Trump. I could see a big thing about all of this is that that self-confidence of Trump, that take no prisoners part of Trump, that a follower of the Roy Cohen theory, that you don't have to accept anything, the big lie theory type of thing, the blame the victim theory, is yes, playing well with those who are following Trump now. But come the general election, with all of his high negatives right now, all of the opposition research, and all of the fact that most Americans do not believe in all of the stuff that Trump is pointing out, again, I'm not going to say that he would lose. I'm just going to say it's showing right now that it will be very, very difficult for him to possibly even get 40% of the vote come November. And remember, I think it was 538, it indicated if the election were held today, and I don't know how they broke it down generically, if just Republican, Democrat, or with certain people in there, the Democrats would have 374 electoral votes. Think about that. And of course, I think that the more Trump is in there as the one representing the Republican Party, the greater the chances the Democrats will have of getting that 374 electoral votes, which was on 538 the other day. I'm going to sign off here. Remember, I am on Facebook under The Lifetime Liberal. One word, join. Comments, both positive and negative, are always appreciated.